What's that?
Perfect. You want to be that guy?
Good morning, DCTV.
Woo! The energy.
It's morning for sure.
It's yeah. So
Coming in hot, boys.
coming in hot is the key word there. So we have CPI numbers that came out this morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. It's 9 o'clock. So we've let the dust. Well, the dust hasn't settled.
No.
Well, we're letting the blood let.
There you go. Bleeding it out.
Yeah, Dow right now is down 523 points. The S&P is down 78 points. Looking at NASDAQ, it's down 321 points, which is good for 3%. Looking at crude oil, WTI crude's now down 2% as well. BTC, Bitcoin is down 670 points at $18,408 per Bitcoin. Everything is getting fucking wrecked on higher than expected CPI numbers, which means that inflation is still running rampant. And that's after you take out food and energy. So you remove food and energy from the equation, and it's still hot. Lord Fenrir went short on this, obviously. And so he's having a good day. But yeah, it's pretty ugly. Core inflation rises to a 40-year high. And so we are it's crazy. It's crazy to see these numbers. How are you guys doing this morning?
Good. Lot to talk about today. We have subjects galore.
Yes.
Hey, Don.
Yes. And our buys are coming in closer.
If you guys can hear me, I can't hear crap right now. Give me 1 second.
Well, this is why we have the pre-show, Don, so that we can all work this out. So wake up 5 minutes earlier.
Fucking time.
It's not a blue screen yet.
You remind me of my compadres in Latinoamérica.
Yeah, and he can't hear any of us talking all this trash. So
Good job.
He reminds
Just
me
nod.
of a terrorist right now.
Yeah.
Weird.
Oh man.
Or Amish dude. It's Donna Daya over there.
It's kind of like the opposites. One beer can represent opposites. Lovers
Yes.
or fighter.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like the opposites. There he is. Represent opposites.
No, cheering. Unbelievable.
Good gosh.
All right.
So what are we starting with today?
I don't know.
Can
You let us know when you're back, Don.
Can you blue?
He said, goodbye now.
So this is a great question. What are we starting with? Let's just start off with CPI.
Might
So
as well.
as mentioned, the prints are super hot right now. I want to pull up those numbers. So right now, the Treasury yield, the 2-year is now back over almost 4.5%, and these are the numbers. Consumer price index rose 0.4% in September, up 3/10 higher than expected by economists. Core CPI that strips out food and energy was up 0.6% month over month. Year over year, expected by economists. Come on, Don.
I'm back. Ready to rock.
Okay.
Okay.
I could hear
Yeah.
the delay.
Yeah.
So looking at where was I? Oh, year over year, inflation is still up 8.2%, which is the high that we saw back in June. So still hot as shit. Looking like we may see a higher than expected interest rate hike from the Fed too. 75 basis points is the consensus. There could be a possibility we see a full percentage point hike, in my opinion.
Now, the charts don't lie, and we had that conversation with Don where we're showing the technicals aspect of it, and a lot of the belief or what you see is a technical chartist says, "Show me the charts, I'll tell you the news." We were just speaking of these triangles with Don when he mapped it on what typically happens, and in this situation, you will see in the chart that breakdown that occurred, and now we have it's open season in terms of where we're looking at to buy.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to show you guys at least the stock chart real quick. We'll look at the SPY right now. SPY is now down below that 350 support, and now sitting at came to a low pre-market at a low of 348.52. A little spike down in here, and it is continuing to look like it might end up settling down below that. So that's the SPY, and then I know that Jaime, you wanted to show off the
Yes,
Bitcoin chart as well. Right. It is
Exactly.
not pretty, that's for sure. That's
But based on technical analysis, it was relatively expected. And nothing is ever sure, of course. But you can see on the weekly, and I can.
was this monthly?
That's the one I want to
Okay.
start with,
Yep.
and then we'll look at the monthly.
Okay. There you go.
It's shared.
Yeah.
The screen. Okay, beautiful. Sorry, audience. I'm a newbie when it comes to these streamings, and I couldn't get better instructions than this guy. So, what you see here, quite literally on the chart, and this is the weekly we're looking at, is this support, this fib support, has now been broken. Of course, it is not confirmed until 3 days from now. But if this indeed closes by Sunday midnight, which is 7 p.m. Eastern, at below this fib line, it is confirmed to drop, to have broken it. And now we have to look for the next support level. Where do you see that support? Well, if we zoom in on the monthly, so now backed up in longer time overall, which is a cleaner chart. Here's the 13.8 I've been mentioning for a little while. There is the tip, the shadow, the wick we had on the previous bull run, sitting currently at 17,200. We almost hit it on the first drop. Now we're coming down to retest it. So we should see something like a slight support at 17,200 more or less. If that breaks, there's nothing then left. Oh, no, I lie. Here's another one. So we have a few wicks, but the actual monthly support is at 13,888. Now it's just a matter of watching and now taking your purchases at these zones. Don has amazing zones laid out also, so we can also address that or speak to it in a moment. So in short, we broke support on the weekly. We broke support, or we continued down on the monthly. We didn't even make it back up to retest the resistance at the 50-month moving average. So the next expectation for myself is a slight stop at 17,200, and then nothing. It's pretty much open to 13,800, or about 14,000 is what you'll see the pundits say. And that's it. Look forward to it and plan your purchases and or shorts if you believe it'll continue going down.
Yeah. Follow up, Don.
RIP. I think we're headed to the next zone down. We're still in that blue zone. I can share a screen real quick.
Yes.
Oh man, I gotta say today has been nothing but technical difficulties.
Hopefully not on the charts though.
Oh yeah, you guys want me to show you? I can show you what a perfect stop out looks like overnight.
Oh,
Do it. Do
Yeah.
it.
It's in the futures, so you have to worry about liquidity. I don't even share charts too often with my group.
needs a reason for it.
Yeah, I don't like. I'm always paranoid like my account number is going to be on there.
Oh,
But so like this is my actual brokerage. So my overnight play was in the Russell. I'm going to get in. I'm going to stop out. We're gonna call it a day. Of course, that's where I stop out. They came in and got me, so I was long, which would have been awesome.
these market makers, bro. They see everything.
Yeah. So this has to do. We've touched on this quite a bit with liquidity, and futures give a great example because this isn't actually a stop hunt. This is more of a let's just get the order book kind of play, because your order book is just like, hey, we have this many people wanting to go short here or long here, and when someone wants to buy, they have everyone selling, so they'll just grab all of them. Hey, I need 800 contracts. Just give me them. So they'll go click market. It'll fill all of these orders. Mine was probably the last one, and then they bought it up.
Bastards.
And then so wanted to short the market.
So I was 16.9. Oh Lord.
Yeah. So anyway, that was the green candles all the way up here. I'm thinking I'm going to short. Well, so I was going to go long, but I was going to go long a few contracts, and then so what I do is I double up, right? So I'll go long 5 contracts, but my stop loss will be 10 contracts. So if it goes down, it'll stop out. I'll instantly be 5 short, and then it'll just slam it. But like we're trying to get the blue screens fixed. So I was like, I'm going to record this. So I can show people how I do it. Get to my computer. I can't log in. It doesn't remember my login. I type in, it says I'm out. And
oh Lord.
oh my gosh. By the time I'm able to get short, it's from here to here. Now this move just from here to here is $220, but I was going to short it from up here.
Bro.
With multiples. I'm just losing my mind right now. Like, what a piece of
And by the way, if you take Don Fran's courses, you will learn things like swing failure patterns, which is what literally happened where they tried to wash them, or they successfully washed them out. Yeah, it's once you get down to it, it's truly a battle out there. And these market makers try to take your liquidity, guys and gals. So watch it.
Yeah, that'll actually probably be a lot of conversation coming up. If we continue south and we keep going, liquidity does dry up. You'll see things really stick to, like in the crypto world, if there's a bunch of trading back and forth, if it's anything like the regular markets, because we know like the S&P is the most liquid, right? So when things dry up, everything just gets nothing, and the S&P is where the party's at. Essentially, everybody's huddled up there for warmth. So if it's anything like that, Bitcoin will be the only one moving for a while. Then you'll see Bitcoin turn, and then you'll start to see all the other altcoins start to get some life. Would you guys agree? You guys probably know more about that than I do.
Yeah, to the most point. I mean, usually when Bitcoin drops, you see people selling Bitcoin and slamming it into the alts. You'll see that sometimes, but on this drop, I think when Bitcoin drops, because of what you said, Don, liquidity is drying up. So you're going to see Bitcoin and the alts drop. And then I think when Bitcoin bounces this go around, the alts are going to bleed further this go around until we start building up more liquidity. Yes. And then the alts will make a run. You'll see Bitcoin dip a little bit and the altcoins will run because people are selling Bitcoin to get into get rich quick alts.
Yes. And in this instance, just like you see it on traditional markets, Bitcoin is the tide. So the tide is pulling out, thus all ships are pulling out at the moment when it's this large of an event. So if this is a break of support, then you will see a hemorrhaging everywhere. But the play now is finding the points where you feel, or you've calculated, not feel, don't do feelings, guys. You get wiped out on feelings, where you've calculated the bottoms should be. And of course, I love bringing this up. Don Fran and Tamp have a certain level set with a few bets open. So it's going to be quite interesting. And Gundy even mentions short squeeze and long squeeze. Eventually it picks a direction. And that's what we just witnessed with Don.
Yep.
Here's the where my cursor's at. Well, the horizontal line. That's the margin between where Tamp thinks the bottom and mine is.
Ooh, that's
a little baby gap in there.
Yep. I don't think we're going that low.
It's going to be hilarious.
Oh, guys.
We still need final terms as well as a timeline on this. I mean,
the timeline's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Timeline, but see, it's very difficult to define a time. Well, if the overall...
No, it's not. We could just say 6 months is the bet.
I said if this zone breaks, it's done. Because you guys did ask me at one time, like, hey, when is this? When am I going to say it's not hitting that? It's not hitting either one. Or when is the reversal? Right now, there's more red candles than green. So the trend is just down. I'm in no rush. Because what if we do go sideways like this? Why would you place a whole bunch of bets and really just give yourself that stopwatch? You're going to shoot yourself in the foot. If that's how your trading is going to go, you're probably going to do that a lot. And that's going to lead to a lot of losses. Yeah. So I usually let the market dictate what I do.
Like Lord says, fuck your feelings. Trade with the data.
Yeah, and right now the data says we can go sideways for a while. So, like, why would I want to just be stupid and say, "Oh, 6 months," and watch it happen in 7 months?
Correct.
Like picking days like that, like silly, in my opinion.
That's fair for trading advice, but for betting advice, usually there has to be some sort of parameters.
Oh well, there's no need. I'm just going to be right. Just understand that. You guys are really focusing on details that don't matter at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think we continue the trend, like borderline, like this trend down. So I guess we can have that conversation when we turn. Let's just draw this line out and see where that takes us. Be awkward. So February of 23.
There you go. There's your time frame, Tamp.
Early first quarter.
I don't know.
That's
I could see us easily breaking that though, and just moseying around, then coming down. Like we drop down here, go sideways because somebody thinks 14,000 is a support, and then boom, it drops again.
Yeah.
So if you're watching me for any kind of trading advice, I would not worry about that trend line. Where I'll admit it's done, regardless of the bet, is when there's more green candles than red, when the trend actually changes.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not getting to 24, not bullish. Now, if we were to get above 24, come back, maybe test that from the top, head our way up here, we've been in a small bull run. But I wouldn't really call a bull run or the winter over until we at least got above this purple zone right here.
Yeah. And from a macro standpoint, looking at historical Bitcoin data, we are looking at around November timeframe for the end of if you're looking at times for the bear market for Bitcoin. But that doesn't mean it can't go lower, because there's a time period of where it finds its footing, and that takes a few good 6 to 18 months.
So you think just November?
November, I would say we should start finding bottom.
Well, looks like there's Lord Fenrir's answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
November. Yeah. What you should do is just buy all of it there and assume that's the bottom.
No,
don't worry about risk management or anything else.
Data told you in
you
the
just send it.
So just out of curiosity, Don, are you short Bitcoin? If you're so sure it's going down, is your money where your mouth is on this?
No, come on. Are you paying attention?
I've
I've said that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I buy it every week. It's just when it gets down here, I'm going to buy more.
Mm-hmm. I'm of
that's
the
all.
same philosophy. I don't short either. I either go to cash or stay within it.
Yeah. Right now to short Bitcoin, it's only on like shady brokerages. Like when you can actually, so shorts are awesome for the economy. They're awesome for Bitcoin. It'll levelize a lot of things out, because right now it's like buyers, lack of buyers, like buyers and people getting out. When you have people that can attack it from both angles, then it really becomes a game of tug of war.
Yes.
Like we're not playing tennis against a green wall anymore. It's that actually stabilizes a lot of things.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the thing is that the market makers are your John McEnroes you're playing against many times.
Yeah, and they'll hedge. So they'll hedge your long bet. So when there is regulation and all of a sudden this is an investment people can get into and feel comfortable about, there will be longs, there'll be shorts, and that's just going to be a lot of the games that get played once banks are in this and algos get turned on. It'll smooth things out, which is why you'll see a lot of the volatility drop out when all of that finally comes to fruition.
Yeah.
All right. And that's interesting, because that's one of our topics.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to continue this conversation. Obviously, I'm sure this will carry over into tomorrow, but we also need to move on to some pretty important topics that we're going to be talking about today. One of them involving Senator Warren again, and then another one involving Kanye West. But before we get into anything, let's go ahead and get into our WTF news of the day. And this story I've been following since, for the last couple of weeks. And this has to do with a fishing tournament. Yesterday we talked about sauce.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about two men that are charged related to allegations cheating in a Lake Erie walleye tournament. I'm going to butcher this town, so if you live in this county, sorry, but the Cuyahoga County prosecutor announced this yesterday afternoon. Jacob Runyon, who is 42, Chase Kaminsky, who is 35, have been charged with cheating and attempted grand theft, possessing criminal tools, and unlawful ownership of wild animals. And this is a wild story. So it was a fishing tournament. I believe it was Major League Fishing, if I'm not mistaken. One of the major Major League Fishing type of tournaments. These two guys stuffed their fish with fillets of other fish, as well as physical lead weights.
Yes.
To cheat the system, basically having their fish weigh more than what they should have been. And they weighed like a whole 8 pounds heavier than the next guy. So not only did they kind of cheat, they cheated just like all of the way. They made it so obvious. It was ridiculous. So, I know that
you're going to go for it.
Tampa, I know.
But don't go full retard.
I guess. I mean, shit. I know that footage. I didn't know. If you
Yeah, I
wanted to-
do. We'll show it. And this actually happened back on October 1st, I believe, was when it was discovered, and we're getting it brought up now because
September 30th was the
September
tournament.
30th. Okay, so right around that time, but we're bringing it up now because these guys have been charged. I mean, apparently these two partners in this fishing tournament have been paid well over 6 figures cumulatively for all these tournaments they've won. And if you hear the reaction of the crowd, they've been suspect of it for a while. Not that it matters, but there is graphic language on this, and these guys are pissed. And from a grassroots level, this is not the kind of people you want to be pissing off at all.
Yeah.
This guy in the gray hat is the accused right here. This guy.
Everybody listen to me right now.
Wait, is there not security at this event? Is there nothing
No.
like?
I don't want anybody to touch these guys.
Watch what he starts pulling out of these fish. This is the tournament director.
Who's in charge of this money? That's a lot of money. Grabbing right there, pregnant fish.
Not pregnant. Look at these lead weights coming out. I mean, those are like downrigger weights. They're huge.
What the fuck, man?
Watch this. More weights.
Those are 12-ounce weights.
Look at this.
A filleted fish. Look at this. Is a fillet, yeah. A fillet fish. It's a walleye fillet.
Dude.
Just great.
Bro, I mean, these guys are pissed. That's him.
They're smart about it.
More.
The weights probably did stick out. So
Got video.
I mean, they were not happy.
Imagine going to jail for this and the guys being like, "Hey, what are you in for?" Oh,
Bro,
just fucking
I stuffed fish.
No,
yeah,
and
that sounds like he's about to get stuffed in the shower. Like,
Yeah.
I got something I can stuff you with. Like,
Yeah.
that just doesn't. That sounds like an info for that guy. 6 figures involved though. That changes things. That's not a $20 bet or like just
No.
guys hanging out
That
on
tournament
the street.
itself was like $28,000 to the winner.
That tournament. But you hear how heated everybody was. We all knew it. We knew it. And they have to go back now, and there's no way to prove it. But this isn't their first time. They were getting more grandiose with it. I mean, look how flagrant this was. Like, was it Brad or Greg said 8 pounds over the next closest fish? Like, you're brazen now. So you've been doing this. And I mean,
you might
these
be able to
fishing
get away
tournaments-
with one fish having one weight in it because fucking, that could happen. Fish could eat it
Right.
while someone else was fishing. But for every single one of them, and you fucking fed them fillets.
yeah, bro.
Damn.
You encourage cannibalism.
Yep.
How did they cram that in there though?
Walleye eat fucking everything.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So
They just pushed it in there. This was a frog walk to the finest. They just opened up that damn thing's mouth and shoved it in there.
Yeah.
Shoved it in? Okay.
Yeah.
I was just saying, like, that would create an argument of like if they can just eat shit, and I'm out here just feeding it. Like,
Well, that's
now I
part
can get
of
a corn feeder at a deer stand.
part of the charges outside of grand larceny is cruelty to animals as well for that exact reason. So they're being charged, and this is just interesting to me. I mean, this is just the wrong crowd. Don't do this with a grassroots. Your handshake, word is bond, means everything. And then you cheat. These
Cheating,
guys, they're lucky they didn't
grand
get shot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's got to move
Possessing
to New
criminal
York or something
tools, unlawful
Yeah.
ownership of wild animals.
Yep.
Their fish died of excess lead in their system.
And I have a feeling they're gonna throw the book at these guys.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Well, hopefully, if you're a piece of like, that's just what you get. Like,
Yeah.
you can't win a fishing tournament. Like, so be it. Like,
Yeah.
something's not worth cheating at. Like,
Yep.
I mean, and think about this too. I mean, they had, I'm sure, various sponsors.
Oh yeah.
Boats were given to them, and this appears as if this wasn't their first time doing this, and it seems as if they've been doing it for a while. So I imagine that they have fraudulently collected tons of money for cheating, and that is just
It doesn't look like these guys were sponsored based on the boat that they got. At least big time sponsored based on
was
the
the
boat they
boat
got
that they got?
seized.
So
I already
was
got
it-
their defense. I got this sorted out.
Was the
I
boat
think we're
just like
talking
a
about it
prize
later.
or something, or
Huh?
No.
Was the boat just like a prize or?
No, but most of those guys, if they're sponsored, they got their boats wrapped and
Yeah.
and fucking logos everywhere, and their boat's just a Ranger. It doesn't have anything, but they took their fucking boat too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the fruit of the forbidden or the poisonous tree doctrine. So it will be the truck they use to pull that boat, the trailer, the boat, all of the equipment in there, as well as any prize money. That's going to be the hard part is how do they prove this wasn't the first and only isolated incident?
Yeah.
But the almost $30,000 from this one is going to be gone.
I want to
as
know
well as all the
what
other-
are they going to do in the future? Like, are tournaments going to start putting X-ray machines and shit
What if they
in?
just put
Probably.
a magnet next to the fish? That'd be easy. Well, this
Probably.
shouldn't stick to a fish. Here it is.
Well, that
Well,
takes out,
lead is not magnetic, by the way.
Yeah.
At all.
That's not.
No.
and then you have the
Yeah.
fillets that were in there too. Actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, like Bassmasters, they usually have somebody with a camera on all of their boats.
That's smart.
on
they
the
should.
big time tournaments. Yeah, they've got officials riding with them, and
Right.
and now you got the newer one that's come out where they it's all timed, but like if the fish touches the boat, they get a penalty and shit. They've got a ref sitting with them the entire time.
Wow.
Damn.
So what if this guy just comes out and he's like, "Hey, I had pressure. I needed to win." He plays the mental illness like Kanye. He's like, I had to. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was caught in the moment. It was a one-time thing.
Who
It
knows?
doesn't matter. You still got to pay up.
Yep.
Yeah, but then he moves to New York and he's good.
And
Yeah.
in this audience and in the area they're in, I don't think that'll fly like it would in a different state.
I agree. There, he's got to move. But
Yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of
you?
Kanye,
I was gonna say, yeah. So I somehow don't have the
article?
article pulled
I
up.
do.
All right.
Go ahead, Dan.
So speaking of Kanye, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm trying to do 30 things at once. So if you guys haven't seen it, I'm going to show the picture first, so that way you can see what we're talking about and what happened. And this, I think we could go the entire rest of the live stream with responses, and I think this is going to fire up the audience quite a bit. And I'm not even talking about just this picture. But Kanye West was in Paris. He did a fashion show where he wore a White Lives Matter t-shirt that you see on the screen right now. It is what it is. You don't have to agree with it. It just came out. He got multiple interviews from this, obviously. And on top of this political statement at this fashion show, he also came out and said, fat is unhealthy. It should stop being glamorized. It is clinically a problem. He got even more hate from that. The problem with all this is not whether or not you agree, but this is what came out. Let's see. This is what came out because of this. So let me kind of blow this up. So Kanye West was given a letter by JP Morgan Bank, who his entire business is, he banks his entire business with JP Morgan Chase. I mean, if it's not a full $1 billion in his business account, it's got to be very close to it. But basically, they kicked him out. They said, nope, we don't want to do business with you anymore. We're done. And you have basically until November 21st of 2022 to find a new banking home. Okay, so here we are now where we just talked about PayPal the other day, where if PayPal, granted they retracted this, but they presented new terms that if we don't agree with misinformation that you spread, we will deduct your account of $2,500.
We spoke of that yesterday.
We did speak of that.
in detail. Yeah.
Now you have.
Go ahead. Doesn't this get much worse? Because then he say he was going like something DEFCON 3 or something on Jews or something like that.
Yes, he brought up. He called P. Diddy a Jew and basically said Jews own all the land, Jews own everything, and he's not necessarily saying anything bad, so be it. It's just it comes across at times as anti-Semitic. But anyways, JP Morgan Chase kicked him out. And although they didn't say it's because of the runway show and his comments on an interview controversial comments on an interview. The timing of it is hard to believe that it didn't have something to do with that association. So where do we stand on this? Because are we mad about this because it goes against our own personal views and that's BS that Chase did this? Or are you happy that Chase did this because you're on the other side of the argument? It's the same thing as what PayPal was proposing, but are we only outraged at this because it's a sensationalized example? Because this kind of stuff happens in the banking industry every single day. We just don't hear about it.
But it's not what PayPal was doing. PayPal wanted to fine you for
yes.
it. They're just stopping to do business with them.
Yep. And I agree with that. My biggest issue with the PayPal thing was A, who's fact checking my misinformation? And B, if I don't have $2,500 in my PayPal account, are you then allowed to dip into my bank account to go get your fine? So I do agree, Greg, there is absolutely a difference there. But, not too long ago, for those that remember, there was a small bakery in middle of nowhere. I don't even know who it was, but two gay guys, when marriage equality came out, wanted to go get their cake made at the bakery. The bakery told them no and kicked them out because they said, we don't believe in that. And there was a massive outrage in that. I support the bakery. I mean, I'm gay as a $3 bill. And I support the bakery on that because that business should be able to refuse service to anyone, regardless of reason. I do that at my personal shop. Somebody comes in, they're not acting right, they're not treating the staff right, you can go. I don't need your sale that bad. So is that different than what JP Morgan did to Kanye? Is it different than PayPal? And Greg, you alluded to it, the fact that it's a fine. So just stop for a second and don't listen to your immediate emotion. But think, is there something wrong with this? And if so, then what's the answer? Is the answer, well, JP Morgan kicked me out, so I'll just go find a different bank that does support my ideals and won't kick me out? I mean, that seems to be the easiest, is a free market choice. But what do we do with this?
Yeah, I think that there's two types of opinions you can have on it. One of them is your own your own inner feelings about it, your own personal beliefs on said topic. My own personal beliefs, if I was a business owner, I wouldn't be doing shit about it. If I am looking at it from a First Amendment standpoint, then Chase has every right within their means to refuse service to anybody. That doesn't matter if it's Kanye West or the president of the United States, or somebody like you or me. I think that JP Morgan Chase has the right to do whatever they want or to choose the business they want to serve to whomever. But on the other side of it, I don't think that, I don't think that they should have done it. Doesn't mean that it isn't legal or they don't have the right to do it.
It's funny you even mentioned the president of the United States because Twitter did exactly that.
Yeah.
Or I guess ex-president. Was he president when that happened or no after?
Yes.
Okay.
No, he was president.
Twitter,
when that happened.
Twitter also had the right to do that. Like they have the right to kick off whoever they want off their platform.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'm in the same boat as a business owner. Like I started this business. I'm the one in charge. If you don't agree with my practices, that's where we differ. And you can go find someone else, I guess, if I was a monopoly, then to become my competition. If you got that much of a problem with it.
Right.
So I agree with it there. What I don't like is the fact that it's a bank. Let's say all banks did say this. Then what's Kanye going to do? Like, it kind of just leaves you hanging high and dry. Because if everyone just turned it out and just said, well, what'd you say, Bray?
The answer is Bitcoin.
Yes.
Yeah. I know where this is going. And like that really is one of the solid, like, not just a Bitcoin hype kind of play or article, because there's a ton of those like, oh, the answer is Bitcoin, like it's gonna be gold bars or something, like there's always like those, but this is like a very real, like,
right.
No one is in charge, like this is how it is, because if all the banks did do that, it just leaves him out there. Like, what would he do with all his? Because first of all, I would tell JP Morgan, get the cash ready.
Yeah, exactly.
And then go to the IRS. Well, I have all this cash thanks to JP Morgan.
Yeah,
yep.
Dry these banks out. Go ahead and give me that cash.
Yeah. I want $1 bills, motherfucker.
Yeah, but in this particular scenario, Kanye, in a lot of ways, is being given leniency in getting all the way to the end of November to get his stuff in order. A lot of people that get kicked for banks for whatever reason, kicked from banks, it's immediate or it's within 24 hours. So again, where do we draw the line? Are we only mad at this because this one is sensationalized? I mean, it
happens every day.
You just have to think a little bit. There's not an easy answer here, and we flip flop back and forth. And I agree the most right now with Greg's, response in that the PayPal issue is different because it was a fine and that's a problem versus JP Morgan probably has some standards of customer expectation. And if they've, deem it's violated, then they have every right to kick you out. And that's fine. If it's terms, it's terms. But it's just something to stop and think about, where you're outraged at the outliers of this thing, or maybe you're happy about the outliers of certain situations, but there's all kind of people in the middle that this affects every day that you don't raise an eyebrow at. So
I wonder if he had any personal services, some type of contract with them at all, that because of his actions that nullifies that. Now they don't want to do business with them. I'm sure there's more behind the scenes than what we're privy to at this point in time.
And that's fair. But just something to think about.
Yeah. And okay, this is a scenario where you can have a clear opinion, like, no, I agree or I don't agree. But the fact that you are able to, in this case, JP Morgan is one of those large institutions that you can go to any country and there they are to do business. Citibank is another one. UBS, those exist.
Yeah.
But the fact that you cannot transact or do business elsewhere, in this situation, we have our opinion, this happened. But what happens down the road when you agree on the other side? Or you're actually taking, it's a very hard decision, really. Like if they're insulting you, if they come into your own shop, well, you don't give them the bread or you don't give them whatever your shop sells. But the fact that you are stopping their business or their livelihood from flowing, it's
hard because listen, if somebody this is the less sensationalized version. Somebody comes into my store, maybe they're a little drunk, maybe they're a little off, but for whatever reason, they're stumbling around, they're saying weird things, they're being shady, however you want to define that. And now my staff doesn't feel good about this. They don't feel secure. There's a possibility of harm there, whatever it is. And so we ask that person to leave, and you can get out on your own, or we'll call the police to do it for us, whatever you want to do. It's the same type of argument Chase Bank could make. Like, listen, it's not the fact that it's Kanye, it's the fact that he stirred a pot, whether you agree with it or not, that is causing us to get into harm's way. Now we have people targeting us as his bank and threatening harm to us as his bank. Where do you draw that line between First Amendment speech and beliefs and the ability to transact business? It's a hard one. It really is. So it's just something to reflect on sincerely and not just do a surface level emotional opinion.
Because banking,
people have seen this. Go ahead.
Banking and money should be non-emotional, should be, meaning, hey, if you don't want my gold, I will give you gold nuggets. But because I insulted I did something that insulted you or was not correct or just flagrant, I don't have to take your gold as a business or as another individual. But the fact that I have gold and now I have to move it to some other material kind of thing, like Ms. Wendell Gilliam said, discrimination is discrimination. Okay, now where do your political views come in versus business itself? It's a very difficult fine line to walk.
So I just to create a fair, equal argument for everyone to give their input. First of all, gun people have seen this whole time. You can't go into a gun shop and talk about how you're going to rob a place, or like you go in there with pre-COVID with a mask on saying, "I need a gun. Let's make this snappy." The gun owner's going to be like, "Nah, I'm not going to do this."
Mm-hmm.
But I guess what answers my question is to the people out there that disagree. What if Kanye West, or what if the roles were reversed? What if it was a the opposite. I was going to say, what if it was a BLM shirt? But I guess there's plenty of those out there. But what if he
But
came
that's
in
the thing. Most people are saying if this was a Black Lives Matter shirt instead of a White Lives Matter shirt, it wouldn't be a sensationalized story, and Chase wouldn't have kicked him out. And that's the double standard.
Yeah, that's what's
the
not
question
fair.
is, how do you solve it? It's not whether or not you agree. It's not whether or not it should or shouldn't have happened, or if this was different, we'd be in a different spot. It's how do you fix this and draw a line in the sand where it's fair is fair. And I think, Savvy Money said something, well, Chase is going to fall back on their written policy. And at the end of the day, they did. So did Chase do anything wrong? Not necessarily. Are you just mad because it goes against your political belief in this particular topic? I don't know. It's a free market society, I guess. Go to a different bank that won't kick you out for this same sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like Gwendolyn said, he didn't do this at the bank. So if you think about it, now the bank is reaching out from their services platform into the public by saying, okay, we're kicking this guy out.
Yeah.
So it's taking a step forward in an opinion.
To me, I don't think it's that much different than having a sponsor and the sponsor drops you because you said something that goes against what they believe in or what have.
Do you think JP Morgan sponsors him?
No, but I think it just falls along that same line of we don't want to be associated with something like this, so we're going to just bow out.
Yeah, whether it's at the bank or not, it's because he's going to bring attention regardless. He's got this thing going on with Kim, and there's a whole slew of things going on right now with Kanye. And so it is just the company just saying, hey, I don't need this attention right now. Like, we're just not, we're going to wipe our slate clean. It's your problem. It's not ours. Deal with it. They gave him time. They didn't just say, come get your check. They did that. The issue, I guess, is even what Tam said, how do you fix this? The problem is that is our way of life. That's our whole entire system. You put money in the bank. That's how you make transactions. That's how you provide, all of that. So if everything just said no, if all banks said the same thing, you're not coming here, Kanye is in a difficult spot for simply his beliefs or something he said. At that point, that's not fair because there's the whole crew out there that think Kanye is mentally ill. And then at that point, are we just kicking him out because he just mentally ill? What happens when someone comes in and starts barking in the lobby? Are they not allowed to bank there as well? What happens at that point? And this is one thing that I do agree. I would tout Bitcoin's a thing, because there is no Bitcoin bank. I'm not going to the lobby of Bitcoin Bank to pull out a coin. That is just on a network. It's something everyone can do and can transact with or without political belief. And the road goes on.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we don't have a system like that, is what sucks. So we have the government and then we have our banks. You can argue who's in charge, but if they kick you out, you cannot have your way of life.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah,
it literally affects you.
And I guess I did want to reiterate that. So I know that I'd said that earlier, but it is the truth, right? I mean, Bitcoin, as many times as people say Bitcoin solves this or that, this is something that Bitcoin would take care of, right? I mean, I'm sure Kanye has Bitcoin or has some sort of cryptocurrency that he's also involved with. But is this truly something that the banks should really keep an eye on? Because I think it does threaten their business. I mean, if they're willing to not do business with somebody like Kanye, and Kanye starts to move towards Bitcoin or having all of his assets in Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, could this potentially just kill the bank in general entirely?
Right.
I don't think we're there yet, though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying tomorrow.
Correct.
I'm just saying, is this just another step towards that?
Correct.
Yes.
I see it should be like gold. Gold is gold. What you do politically, that's your business, your problem. If you're creating problems. But if I'm going to transact with you, you don't agree with me, let me find someone else that agrees with you. But it should be a neutral mechanism, not necessarily an opinionated mechanism, is the way I see it.
I got it.
There's going to be a day where this comes up and the option to say, fine, I'll go 100% Bitcoin. I can still buy food. I can still get gas or charge my, whatever it is, I can pay my utilities. I can do it all on crypto. Be it when crypto first came out, there wasn't Coinbase. You had to go through different avenues. But there's going to be a day where this is possible. It's not going to be buying a whistle with Doge. and then a bank's going to pull this card like that, and someone's going to say, "Fine, watch this."
Yep, and it's coming.
Yeah.
It is closer than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do like that's one reason I do support Elon bringing up crypto and like doing crypto transactions, like showing everybody how easy it really can be. Like most people do just need to have their eyes open to, hey, it's not what you think. It's not for drug dealers and scammers. It is literally just another transaction.
Yeah, you bring that up, Don, because that also goes into another topic, Brad, that we brought up about Bitcoin now settling on fair accounting value measures for crypto assets. Like right now we have like a financial accounting board who is in charge of assigning different assets and how we are going to use that in our taxes. And it hasn't completely passed yet because the vote is at the end of this year, but it was unanimous at the table of discussion that Bitcoin, here, let me just show this real quick, show my screen, that Bitcoin is now going to most likely get into a little more institutional adoption right here, because fair accounting measuring for crypto assets. So basically it means that you're not going to tax Bitcoin on the value in, you'll be taxed on the value out now. And if this passes, this also just happens to coincide with Michael Saylor, who's a huge proponent of corporations holding their treasury assets in Bitcoin. He said that there were three things basically that needed to happen for Bitcoin to zoom well into seven figures by his predictions, which is a little high, but he said we needed a spot ETF, which we're banging on the door of that with Grayscale leading the way. They keep getting denied. And Grayscale is now countersuing the SEC for denying Bitcoin ETFs. So that's right around the corner, but it's X'd out right now. He said that the ability to borrow against Bitcoin from an FDIC bank needs to happen, and that will come with the spot and with a little more regulation. So we're knocking on the door there. And then the third one is the ability to write down Bitcoin using fair value accounting. And that one's going to be checked off, it looks like, at the end of this year. So if those three things happen, according to Michael Saylor, then we will have a Bitcoin bank, Don, which is, why I brought this up. I mean, this right here is a rather huge deal.
Yeah. I do agree. So I would pay taxes if I buy something. If I just did an everyday transaction, then I would have to just file that on my taxes at the next quarter, I guess, or end of the year if you pay annually.
Yes, depends on how you worked it out.
Yeah, because right now it's an asset, so you can't capture loss on it, and really only anything happens when you sell the asset. Now with this, with this new rule that's coming out, now you can claim loss on it. It will be taxed differently when you go to sell it. Good gosh, when you go to sell it, and there's just lots happening.
In the UK, I've buddies who have told me in the UK they take it as gambling. Like it's taxed as if it were gambling, which is anything that comes out is what you're taxed on.
Your taxes as if it's regular income.
Exactly. Yep. So that's a great sign forward, guys. Institutional and retail.
For sure.
Good stuff.
I do agree.
All right. So moving on. So last time we talked about Senator Warren, it raised a lot of eyebrows and got a lot of attention. She's back in the news again. Just yesterday.
She's so good.
She's really good at keeping the spotlight on her. Senator Warren leads the charge against energy consumption claims on Texas crypto miners. So according to a letter penned by 7 lawmakers, including Senator Warren, they are requesting information from the head of the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, or ERCOT, E-R-C-O-T, on the energy usage and potential environmental impact on crypto miners. In an October 12th letter, Senators Elizabeth Warren and a bunch of the other ones, including Rashida Tlaib, I know it's everybody's favorite senator, requested ERCOT CEO Pablo Vegas to provide details on the impact of Texas crypto mining firms have had on the stability of the state's energy grid, climate change, and subsidies given to the companies. According to the letter, the U.S. lawmakers claimed crypto miners were flooding into Texas due to the state's loose regulations. And for those of you, at Greg and Jaime, you guys probably, and I'm sure Tamp does too, but you guys have actually been researching this topic specifically. And so I wanted to kind of ask you guys, is there some validity to this? Are there crypto miners? First question is, are there crypto miners flooding into Texas? We know that Riot, one of the largest crypto miner in the U.S., lives there.
Big Deer also.
Is there cause for concern from an environmental standpoint as far as the amount of energy that they actually consume, and is this making an actual impact on the grid? And so I guess my question is there validity to this probe from the government?
No validity whatsoever. What they need to go back and do is they need to compare data centers running today versus Bitcoin mining, and data centers are still the largest power hogs in the fucking world, period, end stop. But nobody is going to turn off their iPhone, their Galaxy phone, their iPad, this stream. Nobody's going to turn off any of the stuff that uses that data center. They're scared of Bitcoin. They're scared of what it represents. So let's go after it because we don't know enough about it because we're dumbasses. That's all this is.
Yeah.
And the beauty is that this is a forcing mechanism. It's a forcing mechanism for clarity. And you'll see that this revenue that's been generated thanks to Bitcoin is forcing the power companies to upgrade their systems. And you can see the upgrades on site at the Bitcoin facilities where they are upgrading a lot of the power transport, the transformers on site. Like everything's being upgraded thanks to this industry. And so it's improving. California,
you're getting a more resilient grid in Texas with Bitcoin mining versus what it was before, right?
And you're getting funded to do it.
Which the Texas grid was shit to begin with, if I recall, from someone who lived.
Yes, and I'll guarantee you part of this is going to try to place blame on crypto mining and saying, hey, all the problems that we had in that was because the miners were running and blah, 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 right? They were stealing power from the grid. And what they're going to find out is, all of these were on shedding contracts and deals so that during peak hours or during extreme weather events, they actually shut down to allow more capacity for the grid for all the additional stuff. So it's just a fucking PR play is all it is.
Absolutely. And somebody should absolutely let Senator Warren know that because of the Green Initiative, Texas is not immune nor unfamiliar with windmill and clean energy. There's lots of land in Texas. That is what we have. A lot of the land out west is wide open and thus very windy because there's no obstructions. Windmills, turbines, they work great out west. But because the federal government said, hey, if you put a windmill anywhere, we'll pay you out the ass to put this windmill on your land, whether it makes sense location-wise or not, so that we can capture our green energy bills and grants from the federal government. So what has happened, especially in Central Texas, that is not West Texas, is windmills are popping up everywhere, as well as solar farms. Well, what they didn't account for and what they need to look at is that in the hottest months of July and August, basically a snow globe effect happens in Texas, where not only is it triple digits, but it is also still. And I'm talking no breeze at all. When you have no breeze in those areas, windmills don't turn. So your great ideas of having energy by turbine in locations that it doesn't make sense, when said turbines shut off, now something else has to make up that lost energy because you're just paying for turbines without any sort of due diligence in location. So take a look at your green alternatives first. Make sure they make sense before you enact them like they're an answer to everything.
Absolutely. And if you look, Tam, love it. And if you look at the what Pennsylvania is doing, Susquehanna, I can't pronounce it, but which is owned by TELUS, a private.
Susquehanna.
There you go. Is that the proper? Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry, guys.
Man, I butchered some shit, but I've never butchered Susquehanna.
But what you're seeing is the electric companies are looking at this as a way to generate. So there's a lot of wasted energy at the other extreme of the pendulum, where it's generated, but it's not consumed. Bitcoin is stabilizing the consumption of energy to the point where they're receiving revenue when there's no demand. So it's creating revenue for the electric companies to do the upgrades. Up to the electric companies to actually upgrade their systems using that asset that they're minting. So in the end, guys, it's forcing our electric grid to become more secure, more resilient. That's the end result. So I believe this is FUD more than anything and a PR move in the end, but ultimately it's going to demonstrate the benefits of mining because it's forcing the electrical grid to upgrade, to do so.
Yep. Not to mention how mining's going to come in and give a zero-sum argument on the ability to regenerate what otherwise are environmental problems, such as methane from landfills. They're looking at ways to convert that to energy right now to mine Bitcoin. Flare off from oil rigs. People already use that today to mine Bitcoin. There's all these green alternatives that if the government just gets out of the way, and like we talked about yesterday, just lets innovators innovate without too much blockage, they will see how much Bitcoin mining can bring to the table when all they want to scream right now is how it takes away from everything and takes away from the energy grid, takes away from environmental causes. That's just BS. We're just early and they automatically want to have an opinion on it when they haven't even done the research. They don't even know what they're talking about yet.
Yep.
It's the American way. Do first, think later.
Yeah.
And that's what it weighs heavy on my own heart because I come from abroad and I've always seen the US as the bleeding edge technology of thought, finance, development, everything. Now
freedom.
Yes, freedom. Like the world really progressed in the past because we had that freedom to iterate, make mistakes, fail faster, build, design, take risks that other countries couldn't or could not afford to do. Now we're getting to the point where all of our stuff is being exported to others that have the nuts or the balls to do what needs to get done to move forward. So we have to change that mentality where we're all gridlocked now as a society because of politicians making uninformed or hasty decisions or calls that shouldn't be done. Let us build and then regulate afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. It's a hell of a comment.
That was a great hell of a comment. This was a great segment. And this was a great show, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I encourage you to go check out our Discord. It's absolutely free to join. The link is in the description as well as in the top of the chat. So please come check us out. If you just can't get enough of DC TV, if this 1 hour episode wasn't enough for you, but we also have birthdays today.
Sweet.
So there's actually
Tell them what movies I was in. I'm the last one.
Speaking of politics, AOC Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is 32.
Speaking of porn stars.
Yeah, speaking of problems.
Yeah. Is she the one doing the raping or is she like where
depends on the subject. If it's our freedom in government, she's absolutely the suspect.
Just let it happen, guys. Just let it happen.
Keeping with politics, Tiffany Trump is 28. Jerry Rice is 59 years old.
Okay, one of the goats.
They should Jello wrestle.
Sacha Baron Cohen is 50. And Matt Walsh is 57. But we also have RJ Danvers, who is 34 years old today. He was a star. So we have our first male today. First male porn star. He was a star of Jock Itch, Nailed and Screwed.
It was a bad time.
Harry Boys 3, Campus Cock Parties, Code Red, Asshole Emergency. Those are your birthdays for today.
Damn.
Guys, thanks so much. And we'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time. To do it all over again, please make sure you're liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell to get notified when we do go live. We'll see you tomorrow. Please keep calm and huddle on, beaches.
See ya.
Good one.